Potent Pondering, I'm back with another video. Yo, please come and thumbs up this video, subscribe to the channel. Yo, I want to talk about Eric Adams today. Also, thumbs up the video. I just celebrated my 42nd birthday, so if you want to support the channel and send me a Cash App, I'll put the Cash App link in the description, also down in the comments. But I wanted to come and talk about Eric Adams. You know, he had the bribery charges, the list of charges that he was, you know, accused of, and the Department of Justice dropped these charges, Trump's Department of Justice, and now it's just, to me, it's the optics of it all. They may not admit to it, but listen, you know how these politicians, they lie, you know what I'm saying? So now there's prosecutors, they said it was like a dozen of prosecutors between New York and DC who resigned because they will not sign off on dismissing his bribery case. This is crazy. So listen, Eric Adams sat down with Tom Homan on Fox News, and I felt like these reporters was grilling him, but they was keeping it real. I felt like they was, you know, they was like being very honest and asking, you know, earnest questions in regards to his position and all of that. I just want y'all to check it out. I'm gonna be pausing it and doing some commentary in between. I'm not gonna play the whole thing out and, you know, do that and make you wait to the end. But let's just check out. We're gonna go clip by clip how I chopped it up, and I want you to just check this out. So listen, let's get into it.
Join us right now. Guys, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Together.
Thank you so much.
Make some news. Mr. Mayor, from your perspective, how did this meeting go? Why was it necessary?
Good. I think that, and Tom could speak for himself, I think he had a real level of frustration, and he was trying to figure out, hey, what's going on, Eric? What is happening? And we were able to get in the room and really articulate what are my powers, what are my authorities, and what are some of the things that we need to legislatively address that is preventing us from doing what we want to do, and that is getting dangerous people off our streets.
Right, and Tom Homan, as you know, Mayor, a couple days ago said he was angry at you in New York City because it sounds like last time you guys got together over at Gracie Mansion, you probably said some stuff, maybe we'd like to do this and that. And I think Mr. Homan, and Tom, you could start with this. You were frustrated that he wasn't doing enough. He wasn't keeping up his end of the deal.
Well, look, you know, I've been on the network for 4 years, and I've called the mayor out many times for not stepping up when it comes to public safety threats. But I tell you, when I sat down with him, I saw the cop in him. And he really does want to do the right thing, because he is a cop. He's a lifelong cop. And so he wants to help take public safety threats off the streets in New York, make New York safer. He also wants to help find these missing children. We got 300,000 missing children. That many of them are here in this city. We know that. We got to find them, and he's, you know, we'll be working with his intelligence division, his officers, to save these children, because many of these children are in forced sex trafficking, many are in forced labor. We need to save them, and I think everybody can agree to that. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on.
Yeah, and you know, people want to hijack this narrative and turn it into a political narrative where we're saying we need to have public safety. I requested the meeting. I reached out to his team and said, we want to sit down. This has been an issue I was talking about before the election, spring of 2022. You look at these quotes over and over again. We need to go after these dangerous people in our street. And now I have someone that understands that narrative, and we are fighting together to get it done.
So listen, now you saying you had someone who understand it. Listen, I felt like this. You know, Eric Adams' tune is switching up, because, you know, Tom Homan doesn't want New York to be a sanctuary city at all, and I felt like you'll hear it further as they grill him that he's trying to blame it on the city councilman. I felt like you was backing him up before. Now all of a sudden it's just like you've been saying you want the dangerous criminals to be off the streets and all that. Which, listen, let me tell you something. I'm from upstate New York, and I've seen the uprise and all of these illegal aliens even in upstate New York in the damn hotel district, Wolf Road. They all in the 4-star, 5-star hotels, right? You know, FEMA just got exposed for sending 15 million, 15, 20, 30 million to the hotels. How you taking federal emergency money and sending it to the migrants? This is crazy. They got our money for our reparations. They got it, because why y'all spending money on these migrants and putting them up in hotels and all of that? So this is just crazy. So I want you to check this out as they continue to grill him and just, you know, ask him the questions, see how he, just watch how he responds. If you watch anything with Eric Adams before, he was pro immigration. He was pro. So I like how they break it down and they went at bro. So let's go.
Our network so many times saying he felt like ICE's hands were tied under the last administration. You've agreed to sign an executive order to open up an ICE office at Rikers Island so that these dangerous criminals that are here illegally can be deported. Tell the folks at home, because they'll hear this, they'll say, oh, they're going to come after me next. You said these are the worst of the worst. So who is at Rikers Island that will be deported? What have they done?
And you bring in 2 points where the far left has hijacked this narrative. ICE is running in our schools, ICE is running in our churches, and they are creating this frenzy. They're not in the business of just grabbing children. And we need to, just stop all this noise. Rikers Island, particularly after all the reforms, Rikers Island is now having some of the most dangerous people in our city. And by having ICE on Rikers Island, part of our gang intelligence, using our intel with NYPD correction officers, we could identify those gangs inside and outside on the street. There was no reason they were removed from Rikers Island. And as I sat down with Tom earlier, I said that we're going to look at all the legalese. I'm able to do an executive order to put them back on Rikers Island, what they should be, with part of our criminal justice apparatus.
You have a left-wing legislature. Everybody knows it. And for some reason, nobody votes in New York, so the same left-wingers get in every time. But if you had your druthers, would New York City be a sanctuary city?
What we will always be. This has always been a city of immigrants.
So you think it should be? No.
Let me explain, because this is what's getting conflated all the time. Where the sanctuary city is stated that if you're in this city and you're paying taxes, you should have access to the services. What I asked the city council to do, change the bill that was already in place and modify it, that if you are committing a crime, that we should be able to collaborate with ICE, even on civil enforcement, if you have committed a crime. That part of the bill is wrong. But everyday people who are here until they're moving to be documented, if they are going to school, working, paying taxes, then they should be able to provide police services, hospital services, children should go to school.
So listen, I totally disagree with that, and you're going to see how this man barks back at him. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm happy that Trump is in office because the border crossings and all of that is down 90%. New York is way north, right? So how are these people, that Biden was flying these refugees in and people in by plane and all of that. So New York, we need to get them people up out of there. And I find it really strange that Eric Adams is talking about the far left, but it's like you supported so many of their ideals and the agendas of the far left, and now you're separating. Now you're blaming everything on the city council. It's almost, I'm telling you, it's like he kissed the ring. He kissed the ring for Trump and Tom Homan because he don't want those charges. And now, come on, you don't think that that's odd that now they in office, them charges is getting Eric Adams charges is supposed to be dismissed, but the prosecutors do not want to sign off of it. I'm gonna read a brief article at the end of this video too, right? But this is just crazy. Like, yo, his whole tune switching up. So listen, let's get back into it because I want y'all to continue watching this. Please watch it to the end. Subscribe to this channel, thumbs up the video, support the channel. The Cash App is in the description in the comments.
You don't agree with that, Tom?
I don't agree. I think sanctuaries are sanctuary criminals. But we walked out of the meeting yesterday, and getting back on Rikers Island is a game changer. We can get, not only we get the bad guys before they hit the street, the intelligence of how the TDA operates, where they're operating, all this intelligence they gather at Rikers Island, we'll have access to. But no, I'm strictly against sanctuary city status just because I think sanctuaries are for criminals.
Right.
And
they're a magnet.
But the beauty here is that we're allowed to disagree.
Right.
But we do agree on the fundamental that no matter who you are, it should be saved. So that's what people are missing. My life is sitting down with people I don't agree with 100% of the time. I don't agree myself 100% of the time. But when Tom and I are in a room, we're both saying one thing. No matter who you are, if you're hurting innocent people in this city and in this country, you don't have a right to be in our country.
Well, here's the thing. You can disagree on things, but Tom has made it very clear that if a politician stands in the way of the federal government executing the law, they are going to bring charges against people like you. And in fact, we've seen the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, go after officials already. So was that part of the conversation yesterday?
No, I didn't think it needed to be. I mean, we talked very frankly about, first of all, getting to Rikers Island, step one. That's the first step. We're working on some other things that we don't really want to talk about in open air just because the city council will be putting roadblocks up on us. But the mayor and me have committed to several other things to make this city safer. Further collaboration. Again, City council, I don't like him. I think, and Mayor Adams, he's dealing with the sanctuary law, right? That an EO can't override.
Right.
So we're working on some things to work around some of these things. So we can
You're
get some
being
things
careful
done.
the way you describe
We've
it.
been
I've got to
excited.
be very careful because the city council, they hate me, right? The city council, they don't want immigration
all of them.
enforcement in this city.
Not all of them.
So we got to make sure that we collaborate in a smart way so we can get more bad guys off the street.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And you said something that's very interesting. You said that elected officials who are standing in the way. I'm not standing in the way. I'm collaborating against so many others that don't want to collaborate.
Well, now you're collaborating.
You see? You check that out? He said, now you're collaborating. Just tune switching up. They see what's going on with Eric Adams. Now you're collaborating because he don't want to face that time of that crime. He don't. And Tim Homan, they all backing up. They saying that, listen, this whole thing is so funny to me to watch these politicians and all of that. But listen, I want to also say this, the mayor, I want to say this, right? He stated that anybody who stands in the way of the federal government, that they was going to be prosecuted or whatever, right? You're not going to have that problem with Eric Adams anymore. And they need to bring this same heat and this same pressure to Chicago. They need to bring it to California. They need to bring it to New Jersey, to Newark, right? We need to get some order. I'm happy that, listen, you know what? Even though I feel like Eric Adams is being fake, get this shit right, because New York need to listen. Let me tell you something, right? On top of the crime that we already have from people, in those 5 boroughs in upstate New York and all of that, we don't need more issues being dumped into. Like, the United States is not a dumping zone, right? So while I will point out that Eric Adams, he is switching his tune up, I ain't mad at it at all. If it took Tom Homan for him to kiss the ring, and for Trump and them to get him in order, like, listen, you got this case, showering over you. What you gonna do? You gonna get the city together? Get the city together. So then, hopefully, if he runs, he may get elected again. We'll see what happens with that. But his tune definitely switching up. Let's move on and keep watching.
That's
Now,
what
Mr.
I'm
Mayor,
saying.
what is City Council, what are they saying about you wanting to change the wording where we could go after the illegals, even if they're paying taxes, if they commit a crime? Because I saw Vicky Palladino. I know she's a New York City Councilwoman. She's a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And then Robert Holden is a moderate Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Both of them, if you were to talk to them about that change, they would tell you we agree with Eric.
Okay.
But the overwhelming number of council members who have made it clear that they're not going to modify that law.
Why? What is their reason? Why would they protect the criminal?
Well, I think that you look at many of the policies that I put in place. Put in my anti-gun union, 20,000 guns removed off the street, put in 1,000 cops back in the subway system to bring down crime. All of these initiatives that I do around public safety, it's a constant fight with them because I think many people are articulating their personal reasons and not the feeling that the city has. 78% of New Yorkers stand with me, stand with what Tom is doing about getting these dangerous individuals.
But the
off our
problem
streets.
is we don't know they're dangerous till they kill. Like that guy that put this woman on fire because she fell asleep on the subway. He didn't have a criminal, he didn't have a record, but after he lit up the woman on fire, now he's a problem. He didn't belong here. Same thing with Laken Riley's killer, who was housed here, went to Georgia and killed. So even though you say, well, we want to be open to people, we don't know these guys are criminals until they act, and then it's too late. Then they become a problem.
Well,
but if they never got here, they wouldn't be a problem.
And that's what's good about what we're doing right now, what Tom, the border czar, has done. I've said it over and over again. We need to control our borders and not allow people to come into the country, gang members coming into the country, people who are here to commit crime. I think what we've witnessed the border czar has done, we have seen a substantial decrease in that flow.
Tom, you know the NYPD. How frustrated are they that they can't fully have your back, be able to tell them exactly where these guys are, be able to go into these raids with you?
Oh, they're frustrated. I mean, the NYPD wants to protect their streets too, and they want to enforce the law, and they want to collaborate with us. I mean, I don't think I met a single uniform in the 4 years I've been coming to the studio that sit out front. I shake everyone their hands. We had dinner with officers last night, not only from NYPD. We had dinner with officers from Newark. and from Philadelphia. We had a whole table full of officers that want to do the right thing. They want to collaborate with ICE. But I think yesterday's meeting, I came to New York City, I wasn't going to leave out nothing.
Right.
I did the last time, and I told them I'm not leaving until I got something. And so we're back into Rikers, that's huge. But we got other things we're working on. So I'm hoping, and now I got him on the couch in front of millions of people. He can't back waving us now, right? So I think you're going to see things move in the right direction. I really, truly believe that.
And we don't want to give the false impression that there's no collaboration around criminal justice. We collaborated with ICE to take down a very dangerous gang member who was trying to put grenades in our city, caught with a gun. So there's real collaboration with HIDA, our criminal justice apparatus on the city, state, and federal level. We want ICE to come and be a part of that meeting as well.
All right. So what I took away from that also, from that segment, they're saying that it seems as though that Eric Adams is blaming the city council. It's like it's almost like he's denouncing them. He's trying to get so close to Trump and Holman, just let them know, look, I'm willing to work with you out. He's so happy. He is, and they're going to bring this up. They're going to bring up his charges getting dropped as well. So pay attention to that. But they're saying that, the city council is preventing the NYPD with working with ICE in a collaborative way to get these bad people, out of the country. And I personally believe like this. I don't care if you committed a crime or not. You should not be over here illegal. How did these people get, we know how they got all the way up to New York, Trump with the flights, and then people getting through the borders and being bussed up and all of that. But it's like, we got to stop this. We have to stop it. Even though, again, I do feel like Eric Adams, he's playing this game, but I ain't mad at him at all. Get them charges thrown out and let's get the city right. Let's get the city together. Let's clean up a lot of these, a lot of this. Listen, migrants coming in, they're using up public aid. They're using resources that could be going to different programs, adding to more of a deficit. Crime going up. We already got our own crime. Nah, clean this up. Let's continue.
Mayor, let's talk a little bit about, you've been in the news all week.
Yes.
The Department of Justice dropped the criminal corruption charges against you. The U.S. attorney here in New York City, the Southern District, she quit yesterday, the acting U.S. attorney. And so did 5 members of the Department of Justice because they felt like being forced by the Department of Justice to drop the corruption charges was inappropriate and they should not have asked. And what she said was, you offered to help with the migration problem and the immigration agenda in exchange for the case being dropped.
Think about that. Think about my attorney, Alex Spira, one of the top trial attorneys in the country. Imagine him going inside saying that the only way Mayor Adams is going to assist in immigration, which I was calling for since 2022, is if you drop the charges. That's quid pro quo. That's a crime. It took her 3 weeks to report in front of her a criminal action. Right. Come on, this is silly.
So, he said that we're not saying. They said when they dropped the charges, it says it's not because we think he's innocent. It says we think that it affects elections. It's going to affect his re-election, and we think that was wrong.
I'm sorry, who said that?
When the Department of Justice dropped the charges, they said it's not because they think the charges were unjust or that you're innocent, but they were doing it because with the charges they feel affected an election.
No, go deeper into what they wrote. They articulated exactly weaponization. When you looked at legroom turning into bribery because I asked for a governmental entity to do a building inspection. We need to be clear on the root of all of this. And the
Turkish embassy.
Exactly. The main justice. I learned so much through this whole process. They review cases to determine moving forward or not, as my attorney articulated. But so when you look at the heart of what I was being charged with as the mayor, I was the borough president at the time. Not say pass someone. Can you do an inspection?
Tom, you're friends with the president, obviously. You came out of retirement, twice to go work for him and not making nearly as much money. Hope your wife's okay with that. But we appreciate you because you're fighting for this country and keep it up. But you talked to the president. The president was asked if this was quid pro quo, if he had anything to do with it, and he said he didn't.
No, I believe the president. And look, the president's doing a great job. And I want to say this. Look, I worked for 6 presidents. I think President Trump's the greatest president in my lifetime. And he proves it every day. Every day he proves to me why he is the greatest president of my lifetime. Border numbers are down over 90% in 3 weeks.
Think about that.
And you know, I worked hard at it. You know, Christy Nolan's working hard at it. You know, the border, the chief of patrol agent working hard at it. But it was President Trump's executive orders that was a game changer, right? So, and we already got over almost 16,000 people we arrested in the interior. That's 3 times more than Joe Biden had a year from now. But it's not enough. We got to do more. But President Trump's leadership, when you get 90% less people coming across the border, how many women aren't being raped by the cartels? How many children aren't drowning? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked in this country? President Trump's a game changer. And every day, I'll say it 100 times, every day he proves to me why he's the greatest president of my lifetime, what he's done.
And you know, Tom, one of the reasons, in addition to not interfering with your election coming up, one of the other things was they needed you to essentially assist Tom with the migration problem here in New York City.
And what does that look like? Because people didn't understand what that looks like. What that looks like, as I say, every morning we meet with hideouts.
Right.
Federal, state, and city law enforcement agencies.
Which we now have a seat at the table on.
Exactly. Right, that was another thing we
But
walked
that's
away.
good, and that's good because, as you know, Mayor, the way this particular case is being handled right now, they can refile the charges at any time. If you don't help them, they could refile the charges. And
That's not what they said. That's not what they.
They can refile the charges.
No.
Right?
First of all, I don't get into the legalese. I have an attorney to do that, and I pay a lot for that. What we need to be clear on, if the mayor of the city of New York is unable to collaborate, deal with intelligence information, sit down with my state and federal agencies and sit down to coordinate for public safety, we're still under the terrorist threat. We still have illegal gangs in our community that's bringing about destruction that ICE is attempting to weed out. If I can't coordinate that, that's a public safety issue, and we should put public safety first.
Governor Hochul said last night with Rachel Maddow that she would consider removing you. How would you feel about that?
She has her role, I have my role. And throughout this entire ordeal, which I think no American should have to go through, the torment of 15 months that my family and I had to endure for something I didn't do. I didn't do anything wrong. Throughout the entire ordeal, I said one thing. My attorney will handle the legal part. I'm going to handle running the city. We return jobs to our city. Our city is getting safer. We're building housing. I think that this is a great American narrative where I stood focused on what I was elected to do.
I want you to address the
Governor Hochul is an embarrassment to the position she holds. She stands on media after someone's burned alive on a subway. She stands in front of TV camera and says, I think criminal aliens should be removed too. But she's got the green light law. The men and women of ICE and Border Patrol, when they pull a vehicle over, law enforcement, you're in law enforcement your whole career. What's the first thing you would do? You run the license plate number. Are these wanted? Is there a warrant for these people? Who are they? Are they dangerous? Is that car stolen? All these things, right? Do you know ICE and CBP can't run DMV data on New York State license plate? So they're pulling over people not even know who the hell they are.
Is that the green light law?
The green light law. So she, on one point, she's saying, well, I think criminals should be removed too, but then she locks us out of DMV data. That'd be like us locking officers out of the NCIC, the Fed zone. Would we do that? No, because officer safety is paramount. She's putting the men and women at ICE at risk every day. The job's already dangerous. So Governor Hochul, she needs to be removed. Everybody needs to be removed. It needs to be her. She supports sanctuary policies.
I don't know anyone who thinks she's doing a good job. She's an embarrassment. It's hard for me to be impartial on that.
So listen, Governor Hochul, I'm not really familiar with her. I've been in Houston in Texas almost 10 years. But you hear the tone of that. They're trying to catch him up. They're trying to catch Eric Adams up to see, was this orchestrated? What they call it, quid pro quo or whatever, right? So I seen an article written on this, and I'm about to wrap this video up, right? So it said, it read from CNN. It said it was never going to be me. How Trump's Department of Justice sparked a crisis and mass resignations over the Eric Adams case. And as you just heard, they said Governor Hochul said that they was going to ask Eric Adams to step down. And you also heard the Fox News correspondent say that Eric Adams, that if he didn't comply and work with Holman and them, he heard that the charges will be refiled. So I felt like he was trying to catch him up because it's like, you know what I mean? Did they help you get the case tossed, or what do you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they tried to catch him up right there. But anyway, let's run through this article, right? So the morning after the mass resignation of prosecutors sparked a crisis inside of Trump's Justice Department, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove led a meeting with the Justice Department's Public Integrity section. Integrity, they're getting the integrity involved. His message: they had to choose one career lawyer for the dismissal of the corruption charges against New York City's Mayor Eric Adams, according to 3 people briefed in the meeting. All right. So Bove didn't make an explicit threat to fire anyone who refused, but Thursday's trail of resignations from prosecutors in New York and the Public Integrity Unit made clear that the stakes of the demand. So these people, these prosecutors are like, we're not signing off on the dismissal of these corruption charges with Eric Adams. I think that looks bad. It's making it like, where is this coming down from? And that's why I think people feel as though that him working with Tim Homan and Trump, that this is the reason Eric is, listen, these politicians, they lie, but they're not going to come out and explicitly state it. So after Friday's meeting with both, the public integrity lawyers met separately to discuss a strategy. A mass resignation was among the options that was considered, but in the end, most said around the picking one person to file the dismissal as a way to end the standoff. 2 of the people briefed said, right? So late Friday, Bove, along with prosecutors Ed Sullivan and Antoinette Bacon, entered a filing that could end the case after the extraordinary wave of resignations from the Southern District of New York and the Justice Department Public Integrity Section that's shaken the foundation of the Trump administration that says it wants to end the weaponization of the Department of Justice. All right. Over the past 36 hours, 7 prosecutors in New York and Washington, including the Trump-installed acting U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, and the top career prosecutors overseeing the public corruption cases, have resigned. What does that tell you? All of these people resigned because they don't want to sign off on Eric Adams getting off. Because I feel as though that they know that this is a sham. Eric Adams used to be popping it heavy, like in support of immigrants, all of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what nobody say. I don't wish bad on anybody, but I don't think immigrants should be over here illegal. I just don't. I don't. All right. So they resigned. 7 prosecutors, between New York and Washington, they resigned. Having resigned rather than carry out the order to dismiss the corruption case against Adam, a Democrat, the prosecutors have decried Bove's Monday order to drop the charges, which cited part that Eric Adams' role as a mayor helping the Trump administration combat illegal immigration as a bargain amounting to quid pro quo. And what quid pro quo means is basically like a deal, like an agreement, or something like that. I think that's what it means. I'm sure that's what it means. Quid pro quo. It's like common sense. It's quid pro quo. It's like it's a deal. It's like, okay, you're gonna help me with one thing. I'm gonna help you, and then the charges are gonna go away. That's exactly what it is. And Eric Adams, he was looking scary up there talking to them damn correspondents because they know that he was grilling his ass like a steak. All right. So the prosecutors who resigned in New York were not Biden appointees. The acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District, Danielle Sassoon, who was elevated by Trump, clerked for the state Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, and Assistant U.S. Attorney Hagen Scotton, a line prosecutor who resigned in a blistering letter on Friday. Let's see what they said. Once a clerk for Chief Justice John Roberts. So this is what the person said in regards to resigning, that they did not want to sign off on Eric Adams' BS. Right? They said any assistant of U.S. attorney should know that our laws and traditions do not allow using the prosecutorial power to influence other citizens, much less elected officials in any way, Scotton wrote in a resignation letter on Friday. She said, if no lawyer within the earshot of the president is willing to give him that advice, then I expect that you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool. They calling them fools for signing off on his dismissal. I'm sure that you could find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion, Scotton wrote, but it was never going to be me. Ooh, but you know what? In the world of politics, they'll still find someone to do it and they'll sweep it under the rug. They might get some extra gummy bears in their package or whatever, but somebody's going to do it. If he's going to work with Trump and Holman and clean up the city and get these people out of here and take the right steps, then it's going to get tossed out. These people are going to be hit with some sort of not following their job roles or whatever, everybody's not going to resign. I'm telling you. So listen, I just wanted to come and bring this commentary to you in regards to Eric Adams. It seemed like he's trying to get he's getting it right. He's trying to do New York City, be better about the whole migrant crisis, the illegals, the violent criminals, and I don't want to offend you with this, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm xenophobic or anything, but you need to come over here right. One thing I didn't like in the rhetoric of Eric Adams is that he's like, if you're over here and you file and you're obeying the law or whatever, you shouldn't be over here illegally. Like, we need to stop this whole sanctuary city crap. We need to stop it. We need to stop it. So listen, potent, pondering, never pandering. I want you to get in the comments. Let me know what you think about this whole ordeal with Eric Adams. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that migrants deserve to be, in America illegally, as long as they're not committing crimes? You don't need to be here at all. Tim Homan kind of he expressed his feeling on that. Like, we need to go away with the whole sanctuary city idea. I agree with it. I agree. So listen, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, thumbs up the video, and I'm gonna holla at y'all later. I'm gonna do another video as well. All right, peace.